All right, let's talk a little bit of Saints. We'll change gears and get back to LSU baseball here shortly. Let's talk some Saints with Luke Johnson of the Advocate, good enough to give us some time on these Thursdays. Luke, how we doing? You enjoy the baseball last night?
Well, I don't know if enjoy is the right way to describe like what was happening for a bunch of that night. My group chat that I'm in with a lot of our shared college friends was whatever they were unhinged. Let's just put it that way.
It's
Saying some not so kind things about some players until some players totally redeemed themselves. Um, but it was really fun at the end. I'll say that.
Look, it's one of those deals that postseason baseball. It's so brutal and miserable to sit through, and you wouldn't have it any other way. And generally speaking,
That's right.
it works out for the purple and gold. It certainly did last night. We'll see what they can do over the weekend. Let's talk about the black and gold. Let's talk a little receiver, Luke. Obviously, towards the end of last year, it was a mash unit. You have now seen Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. What can you tell us about where they are physically and what kind of role that those two guys can play on this team?
I mean, they look good right now, and I think it's fair to be like reasonably concerned about whether they can hold up over the course of a full season. And neither of them have played an entire season in their NFL career, but I think if you look at Shaheed, I looked this up yesterday. I think he played like out of a possible 35 of like his first 35 career games, he played 33 of them. Chris Olave played in like 15 and 16 games his first couple of years before dealing with the concussions last year. And obviously the concussions have been a recurring problem throughout his playing days, even going back to Ohio State. So it's a cause for concern. But like as far as just like holding up, like they've shown they can do it at least to a pretty high degree in the NFL. Like I don't think you can just like say, yeah, I think they're going to play all 17 games this year. But like it's not unreasonable to say you think they could play 14 or 15, which would be pretty good. Um, and then you see him move, and you see him play, and you're like, yeah, well, those guys are super explosive, super dynamic. I would argue one of the more fun 1-2 punches in the NFL when they're on the field together. And you add in the whole Kellen Moore of it all, where he's just shown a way to get his best players to football in ways that'll allow them to succeed throughout the course of their career. So like I'm excited about the potential of it. Even if there's like a little bit of it that is just, it's caused you to be uneasy because of the injury history last year.
I wasn't wild about the Brandin Cooks signing. What are your thoughts on what he adds and where he fits?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't really understand it. He's like a older diminished version of the two guys they already have, right? Like I really thought that this was going to be the year they were finally going to add that kind of possession receiver they've been missing since Michael Thomas like wrecked his ankle in week one of the 2021 season. Um, it was like they just haven't added that in years. They still don't have it on the roster. I think Cooks maybe could be better than he has been the last 2 years. Injuries were a big problem for him last year. But the fact is he hasn't topped 700 receiving yards since 2021, and he's going to be 32 years old, and he's 5'10", a buck 90. It's like he's the same player as Olave and Shaheed from a frame standpoint, from a like what he does well standpoint. So that I'm still like in a extreme wait and see with that one.
Do you think that the Saints currently have their entire receiving core on the roster? Or there's still an anticipation that they might try to go add somewhere.
I mean, I still think there are guys out there who could help. Even if they're not going to be like somebody who's going to come in and be like one of the primary targets. Um, I think there are guys who fit the skill set that I'm talking about, who could be like your chain movers, and they have cap space if they want to spend it. I also think there's a chance though that they're gonna see what Bub Means has. Like he's kind of in that mold that we're talking about. He's not big, but he's like 6'2", like 210, somewhere around there. And in the kind of brief moments that we saw him on the field last year, he looked good. Obviously, he missed the end of the season because of injury. He didn't really get to see it when he had the big opportunity in front of him. But, maybe they just kind of see what they have there with him before they consider adding to it. But I think there are still a lot of guys out there who need homes. and guys who potentially fit what the Saints could use. And like again, they don't even need like somebody who's going to be like a high volume receiver. Like Tyler Boyd might be completely cooked, but he's also like exactly what they don't have on the roster right now. If he's your number 4, and you can put him on the field in third down situations when he could be really useful on 3rd and 7. I don't know if I might give that a look.
Yeah, I'm nothing's perfect, but how do you feel about the ecosystem that Tyler Shough's being dropped into here, from the offensive line to the weapons to the head coach?
Well, I feel really good about Kellen Moore. Every single step of the way, you just look at what he's done throughout his career, like with varying offenses and varying strengths and weaknesses of those offenses, and it's been successful like every time. So I feel good about that. I feel good about the offensive line. We're gonna have to really just wait and see exactly what it looks like, because we didn't get a very good glimpse during OTAs and minicamp when they did like 0 contact whatsoever. But I think pending at left guard makes a lot of sense to me. I think a top 10 pick at left tackle makes sense to me. I think moving Fuaga to the right side, where he was really, really good in college, you could potentially take a player who is really good as a rookie and make him even better, playing a position that's more natural for him. So I think there's a lot to like, but it's also just like very flimsy, much like last year's team was. They obviously went through the ringer injury-wise, but they also just didn't have very much depth behind those guys. I think they're kind of a little bit on thin ice still, especially at receiver. And especially talking about like 2 guys who are both coming off of. They played in between them 12 full games last year. Olave appeared in 8, but 2 of those he played 2 and 8 snaps. So there's a little concern there. They don't really have much beyond those guys. So I feel good about it, but it's not like an uneasy good, if that makes sense.
It does. Like I said, nothing's perfect, but I think that's the most important thing for this franchise right now is how much development can you get from Shough and how quickly. And I think every decision that they make has got to be geared around that. So with that kind of said, to kind of close things up here, salary cap wise, they finally have a little bit of room, a little bit of coin to spend here late in the cycle. And there's not a ton out there, but do you see a name or two that makes some sense here before we get closer to training camp?
Well, the one that really stands out is the one I also think that they have the least chance of signing, this Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
At this stage of his career, it is what it is with the Saints right now. Even if they're much better than people think they're going to be, that's a hard sell for a guy who's never won anything in his career, who might only have 2-3 years left in his career to come to a team that's clearly in this rebuilding stage. But I think he would be ideal if you could get him in and be you're going to be our move the chains guy. You're going to be the guy we need to go to when we need to have it, and give us a higher floor in case these 2 studs that we have on the outside are not able to make it through the full season. Beyond him, there's some guys out there who I think could help. Gabe Davis obviously is the guy they visited with. He's a guy who's coming off a really down year in Jacksonville, but has shown he can do it in the past, and would just add a different type of element to what they currently have. I just think there's guys out there, but there's also to consider they're still going to have to pay off some money on Derek Carr next year. They're still going to be in a little bit of not as bad, but a little bit of a cap bind next year. So if they can roll over a bunch of this money into 2025 or 2026 rather, that might be something they're looking forward to doing, and then really getting themselves set up to just be kind of free and clear in 2027.
Luke, we appreciate a little bit of time. We'll talk next week, man.
Sounds good, man.
Luke Johnson with The Advocate, covering the New Orleans Saints. Good enough to give us time on Thursdays.
Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.